Rite of the 9 is here with a bunch of shiny adept weapons, and in this video I'm gonna go over all the god rolls that you should keep. If you're like me who doesn't really know their way around the perks and what to go for, my moderator Phil went through all the weapons of all the dungeons and pulled up the god rolls. And I'm going to pass on the information to you. But just because we say they're god rolls doesn't mean you have to go for it. I know everybody has different playstyles. And please do not forget that if you do enjoy this video and it's very helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. Before we get into any details, I just really want to say that this video specifically talks about the PVE god rolls. I will be having a separate video that talks about the PvP weapons. Starting with the Spire of the Watcher weapons, these weapons have two origin traits, which are Gravity Well. Whenever you reload your weapon, it will automatically gather nearby ammo, and Text Balance Stock, which is damaging enemies while hip firing, meaning you don't aim down sights, buffs your handling, reload speed, and range by 20 while also increasing your movement speed for about 4 seconds. Alright, so let's go over the god rolls, starting with Liminal Vigil, the Stasis Kinetic Heavy Burst Sidearm. The Heavy Burst fires a hard-hitting 2-round burst that slightly reduces incoming flinching while you aim down sights. The god roll for this weapon is Headstone with Desperate Measures for a Stasis Crystal and Damage Buff combo, but I also have some alternative perks. With the perk Headstone, you create a big Stasis Crystal at the enemy's location whenever you get a precision kill. The crystals are used for AoE damage and freezing enemies. For Desperate Measures, getting kills with this weapon buffs your damage by 10% for 7 seconds, or if you get melee and grenade kills, it will buff your damage to 20% for the same amount of duration, and when you get an additional melee or grenade kill, it will bring it up to 30%. And the good thing about this is you do not have to have this weapon out. Now let's go over alternatives. For both the third and fourth column, I have two perks. First in the third column is Attrition Orbs. Doing consistent damage creates orbs of power with this perk. More specifically, landing 67% of the mag against enemies within 5 seconds spawns in 1 orb, which is always a fun perk when you're using an orb build and need a lot of them. In the third column, we also have Enlightened Action. Dealing damage improves reload speed and handling, meaning that weapon hits give you stacks of Enlightened Action for 2 seconds that can be stacked up to 12. Each stack gives about 5 extra handling and reload speed, for a total of plus 50 to handling and reload. And in the fourth column, we have Rime Stealer and Desperado. Rime Stealer, killing a frozen target or destroying a stasis crystal with this weapon will give you a stack of frost armor. Enhancing this perk will grant you an additional stack of frost armor. Rime Stealer goes really well with Headstone. Since you are already creating crystals with Headstone, this one will add on to that by giving you frost armor. Desperado, reloading within 5 seconds of a precision kill increases your rate of fire for 6 seconds. But remember that the buff does get removed whenever you stow the weapon away. The next weapon is Long Arm, a Arc Energy Scout Rifle with the archetype as a aggressive frame, which gives higher damage and recoil. The perks that make this weapon a god roll are Dual Loader and Redirection, which when enhanced makes this combo godly. Dual Loader, reloading adds an extra shot into the magazine, and enhancing the perk will take it to 2 additional shots. Redirection, damaging rank and rifle enemies buffs damage against the more powerful ones. Landing hits against minor enemies gives 2 stacks of redirection. The stacks can be maximized to 30. Hits against the powerful enemies will consume up to 3 stacks, which does 33% more damage per stack used. And a good thing about this perk is when you stow it away, it will not reset the stacks. However, enhancing is a must because it now consumes only 2 instead of 3 stacks, and they now deal 50% more damage instead of the 33%. So with this combo, not only are you doing more damage, but also using less stacks and getting more buffed shots. If you would like an alternative perk in the third column, I only have one, and it is Rapid Hit. You get a temporary increase in stability and reload speed when landing rapid precision hits. More specifically, you get 1 stack of rapid precision hits for 2 seconds, and that can be maximized to 5 stacks. At 5 stacks, you will get 25 extra stability and 60 extra reload speed. So landing those precision hits is very recommended. This brings us to the next 2 perks in the 4th column, which are Dragonfly and Explosive Payload. Dragonfly means precision kills creates an elemental damage explosion, which goes really well with Rapid Hit because you're already trying to get those precision kills with Dragonfly, and at the same time you're gonna proc Rapid Hit with those rapid precision hits. And for the last perk, we have Explosive Payload, which makes bullets create an area of effect explosion on impact that deals more damage. Our next weapon is the Double Fire Void Energy Grenade Launcher called Wilder Flight. This GL launches 2 hard-hitting rounds at once. The combination of Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch is what makes this a god roll. This weapon is not used for ad clear but more for a boss damage rotation. Envious Arsenal, which is in the 3rd column, and when you deal damage with the other 2 weapons you have on before readying this one, it refills it from reserves. Bait and Switch, dealing damage with the other 2 equipped weapons before switching to your GL, will buff your GL damage by 30% for 10 seconds. These 2 weapon perks combined are godly for damage. Not only do you get that 30% damage buff, but at the same time you get a free reload with it and it double fires. However, it does require you to do quite a weapon rotation during damage. If you aren't too comfortable with that, here are the alternatives. In the 3rd column, I have Slide Shot, Auto-Loading Holster, and Demolitionist. Slide Shot, because this is a GL and only has 1 shot in the magazine, this will fully reload your weapon whenever you are sliding. Not only that, but it also gives 20 extra range and stability. Auto-Loading Holster, stowing this weapon for 3.5 seconds will refill the ammo from reserves. Demolitionist gives you 10% grenade energy when you get a kill with this weapon, and using a grenade actually reloads this weapon. Really good if you're using a lot of abilities or wanting to spam grenades. Now for the 4th column, I have 2 alternative perks, which are Lead from Gold and Frenzy. Lead from Gold, whenever you pick up a heavy ammo, it also gives you ammo for this weapon. In detail, Heavy Brick pickup gives 25% on a normal perk and 35% on an enhanced perk of your maximum special ammo reserves. And if you have 2 special weapons equipped, it actually halves the amount of ammo for each weapon. For Frenzy, after being in combat for 12 seconds, you'll get 15% damage increase, 100 handling, and 100 reload speed for 7 seconds. This can be very good for both Slide Shot and auto-loading, which both give you reload while Frenzy gives you a damage boost. For the final weapon for Spire of the Watcher, we have Terminus Horizon, which is the Arc Machine Gun. This is a high impact frame which makes this weapon fire slower but deal more damage. This machine gun is also more accurate when stationary or moving slowly and aiming down sights. The god roll for this weapon is Demolitionist for crazy grenade energy spam and Killing Tally for the extra damage. With Demolitionist, getting kills with this weapon gives you 10% grenade energy, and using a grenade reloads this weapon as well. And for Killing Tally, kills buffs this weapon's damage through stacks, meaning a weapon kill gives 1 stack of 10% extra damage, and it can be maximized to 3 stacks. Each stack gives a 10% extra damage buff. The combo of these two perks makes this weapon become insanely good for ad clear. With the damage increase, you'll kill enemies so much faster, and if you have additional perks on your armor for your grenade, you'll be unstoppable with the grenade spam. Moving over to the alternative perks in the third column, which are Reconstruction and Dragonfly. Reconstruction, while not using this weapon, it will reload itself every 6 seconds and can overflow the mag to double its capacity. So when you're ready to use it, you'll have double the ammo in your mag. I'm just gonna add that this perk is definitely personal preference if you would like to have a bigger mag or not. For Dragonfly, getting those precision kills creates an elemental damage explosion. And now for the fourth column, we have Rolling Storm and Jolting Feedback as alternatives. Rolling Storm, final blows with this weapon give 1 stack of bolt charge, and if you're amplified, your bolt charge stack increases to 2. I highly recommend this perk if you're running a bolt charge build, and you can use this with either Demolitionist for the grenade energy or Dragonfly for the extra explosion. Jolting Feedback, hitting multiple direct hits within 3 seconds will make the next shot apply jolt to the enemy. More specifically, for the machine gun, you'll need to land 16 shots to apply jolt, and if you are amplified, you need to land 12 shots instead. This one is good with arc builds, especially that makes you amplified to use that perk really well. Alright, it is time that we tackle down the Prophecy Dungeon God Roll weapons, and these weapons actually are gonna have different origin traits from any of the other dungeons. So these traits are Gravity Well and Crossing Over. Gravity Well, whenever you reload your weapon, it will automatically gather nearby ammo. And Crossing Over gives the weapon a buff in range and handling for the first half of the magazine, and the second half of the magazine gives a damage buff. Our first weapon is Judgment, the adaptive frame stasis hand cannon in the kinetic slot, which this weapon has a well-rounded grip that is both reliable and sturdy. Headstone and Paracostal Affinity make this hand cannon a god roll because you can create explosions and do more damage. For Headstone, Precision Final Blows spawns a stasis crystal near the enemy's location, which you can shoot for an explosion. Paracostal Affinity kills with the same elemental category as the weapon will give the weapon an extra 20% damage boost for 6 seconds, meaning that any final kills with stasis or strand abilities or weapons will grant Paracostal Affinity. The alternatives are Demolitionist in the third column and Rhyme Stealer and Time Payload in the fourth column. With Demolitionist, whenever you get a kill from this weapon, it gives you 10% grenade energy, which is definitely good when you have a grenade spam build going on. In the fourth column, Time Payload splits half of the weapon's damage into an explosive payload that detonates after a slight delay. This does increase the body shot damage by about 16% and precision damage by 11%. This is going to be really good in higher end content where ads don't die as easily. Rhyme Stealer, you gain a stack of frost armor whenever you kill a frozen enemy or destroy a stasis crystal using this weapon. Enhancing this perk will grant you an additional stack of frost armor. In my opinion, this is really good with Headstone since you're already creating crystals, and with Rhyme Stealer, you can destroy them to get frost armor. Moving over to Relentless, a strand kinetic pulse rifle with the archetype as high impact frame that makes this weapon fire slower but deal more damage. It also makes it more accurate when aiming down sights, not moving or slowly moving. The go-to weapon roll combo you'll want is Firefly and Hatchling. With these two perks as a combo, all you have to worry about is getting precision kills, which will not only make solar explosions, but also spawns threadlings all at the same time. Starting with Firefly, getting precision kills with this weapon will buff your reload speed by 50 for 6 seconds, and also make the enemy explode, causing solar damage to any enemies nearby. Hatchling spawns a threadling on an enemy, but only if you get a precision kill or kill 3 enemies within 3 seconds. Alternatives in the third column, we have Tear. Whenever you get precision final blows, it will cause nearby targets to become severed, which can be used along with Firefly if you want to sever and have AoE ad clear. Rapid hits. Landing rapid precision hits grants you a temporary stability and reload buff. More specifically, you get 1 stack of rapid hit for 2 seconds, maxing out at 5 stacks. At 5 stacks, you will get 25 extra stability, 60 extra reload speed, and a reload animation multiplier. In the fourth column, I only have one alternative, which is the Paracosal Affinity. Because this weapon is a dark element, getting kills with any other dark elemental kills, like stasis or strand, weapon, or ability kills, will buff this weapon by giving it 20% extra damage boost for 6 seconds. This can be used with any of the other third column perks depending on what you like, but this does require specific ability and weapon elements. Hi guys, just popping in here, wanted to say that I've been doing a bunch of ultimatum runs over on my live stream on Twitch, where I pretty much stream every day, so if you want to come hang out and do some runs, definitely go and check me out. Now let's talk about the Arc Auto Rifle in the energy slot, also known as the Prosecutor. It is a precision frame, which means that the recoil pattern is more predictably vertical, meaning that the recoil goes more up instead of swaying to the sides. The god roll for this auto rifle is Dragonfly and Volt Shot, giving it multiple explosions when hitting enemies and are super easy to proc. Dragonfly, precision kills creates an elemental damage explosion. Volt Shot, reloading your weapon within 5 seconds after getting a kill makes your next hit jolt the enemy. For the third column, I have 2 alternatives, which are Attrition Orbs and Eddy Current. Attrition Orbs, doing consistent damage, creates orbs of power with this perk. More specifically, landing 67% of the mag against enemies within 5 seconds spawns 1 orb. Eddy Current, after sprinting for 1.5 seconds with the weapon in hand, you will get 20 extra reload speed and a buff to your handling as well. This also procs when you are amplified without needing to sprint. It will increase reload speed to plus 60, and when enhanced, increases the buff duration to make the effect even stronger while amplified. In the fourth column, I also have 2 perks. Rolling Storm, final blows with this weapon give 1 stack of bolt charge, and if you are amplified, your bolt charge stacks increase to 2. Works good with any of the other perks in the third column. And Onslaught, getting final blows with this weapon buffs the rate of fire and reload speed for 4.5 seconds with a max of 3 stacks. That means the more final blows you get, the higher the stack of Onslaught, which gives you 10 extra reload speed every stack starting at 15. The last weapon for Prophecy is a Sudden Death, a void energy slot shotgun with an aggressive frame, which makes it more hard-hitting, high in recoil, and has an increased rate of fire after the kill. The go-to perk combo that makes it a god roll is 1-2 Punch and Trench Barrel for a really awesome melee build. 1-2 Punch, while hitting an enemy with every pallet in the shot, increases your melee attack damage for a short time. Enhancing it allows for 10 of the 12 pallets to hit instead of all, which means it allows forgiveness. Trench Barrel, whenever you land a melee hit, it will give your weapon handling, reload speed, and 50% increased damage for either a short time of 5 seconds or until you have fired 3 shots. For the alternatives in the third column, I have Discord, and in the fourth column, I have Redirection. Discord, final blows with a different weapon gives this one increased speed for aiming down sights, accuracy, and airborne effectiveness. Most importantly, when Discord is active, final blows refund ammo. Redirection, damaging rank and rifle enemies buffs damage against the more powerful ones. Landing hits against minor enemies gives 2 stacks of redirection. The stacks can be maximized to 30. Hits against the powerful enemies will consume up to 3 stacks, which does 33% more damage per stack use. And the good thing about this perk is when you stow it away, it will not reset the stacks. However, enhancing is a must because it now consumes only 2 stacks instead of 3, and they now deal 50% more damage instead of the 33%. Discord and redirection go really well together as a combo for more ammo refund and damage instead of the melee build. Now let's move over to the final dungeon we haven't talked about, which is Ghost of the Deep. Just like the previous dungeons, these weapons are going to have different origin traits, which are Gravity Well and Restoration Ritual. Gravity Well, whenever you reload your weapon, it will automatically gather nearby ammo. Restoration Ritual, reviving teammates or killing enemies with finishers will reload this weapon and readies an emergency refill for the next time the weapon runs out of ammo. The first weapon we'll talk about is No Survivors, the solar SMG in the energy slot with an aggressive frame that gives it more damage and high recoil. This weapon is probably the most unique out of all of them because it has 2 different types of god roll. It has an overall god roll and a god roll for those that are titans. Firstly, the overall god roll for this weapon is Heal Clip and Master of Arms for healing yourself and your allies, along with getting a damage buff. For Heal Clip, reloading right after getting a kill will give you Cure ×2, and your nearby allies Cure ×1. Master of Arms, getting a kill with any weapon gives 1 stack of Master of Arms, meaning an extra 15% damage increase for 7 seconds. But getting a second kill with any weapon with Master of Arms active gives it a second stack with 25% increased damage for 4 seconds. And when Master of Arms ×2 expires, it reverts back to Master of Arms ×1. Now, the secondary god roll for Titans only is Rewind Rounds and Target Lock. The reason I'm saying for Titans only is because you have to use it with Peacekeepers. Target Lock. Landing damage hits on enemies will slowly increase the damage over time. For example, without enhancing, the damage buff starts at 17% but will end up being at 40% towards the end of the mag. But if it's enhanced, it will start at 19% and end at 49%. Since the damage increases over time, the average bonus damage for the entire mag is a 20% buff. The reason why this is a god roll for Titans is because of Peacekeeper. While using an SMG, handling, airborne effectiveness, and movement are all improved, and damage against enemies will increase the longer you hit your shots, and when you stow the weapon, it will automatically reload. If you ask me, it sounds very familiar to Target Lock. So it's like you're having double the damage from both Target Lock and Peacekeeper, while also getting a bunch of ammo back into your magazine. Alternatives in the third column, I have 2 perks. One is Attrition Orbs. Doing consistent damage creates orbs of power with this perk. More specifically, landing 67% of the mag against enemies within 5 seconds spawns in 1 orb. This is a good perk for orb generation with how good orbs are in the game. And the second perk is Demolitionist, which gives you 10% grenade energy whenever you get a kill with this weapon and reloads it when using a grenade. Really good if you're using a lot of abilities or wanting to spam grenades. I highly recommend this perk with Incandescent, especially if you know you will not go against tanky enemies, but Master of Arms works really well for the extra damage as well. Speaking of Incandescent, that brings us to the fourth column, which the only perk is Incandescent. Killing an enemy creates a solar explosion that applies 30 Scorch that deals about 30 damage to enemies, and the more powerful the enemy, the larger the explosion radius gets. This works really well if you have a build that deals with a lot of scorching, or if you'd rather just like to create a bunch of explosions. Up next, we have the new Pacific Epitaph. The Stasis Kinetic GL as a wave frame, which releases a wave of energy when it lands on the ground. A Waveframe GL is super good for ad clear, which means this specific GL has a god roll of Demolitionist and Redirection. Demolitionist, getting kills with this weapon gives you 10% grenade energy. Redirection, damaging rank and rifle enemies buffs damage against the more powerful ones. Landing hits against minor enemies gives 2 stacks of redirection. The stacks can go up to 30. Hits against the powerful enemies will consume up to 3 stacks, which does 33% more damage per stack used. And the good thing about this perk is when you stow it away, it will not reset the stacks. However, enhancing is a must. Enhancing Redirection now consumes only 2 instead of 3 stacks, which means you deal 50% more damage instead of the original 33%. And as always, I have alternative perks. In the third column, I have Lead from Gold. Whenever you pick up heavy ammo, it also gives you ammo for this weapon. More specifically, picking up a heavy brick on a normal perk gives 25% and enhanced perk gives 35% of your maximum special ammo reserves. Another positive is if you have 2 special weapons equipped, it halves the amount of ammo for each weapon. This is very good for ammo struggles or if you're not interested in gaining grenade energy. I also have Unrelenting in the third column. Rapidly killing enemies will regenerate your health, and the more powerful the enemy, the more health you get. Minor enemies give 1/3 progress, and elites, mini-bosses, and bosses give full progress. In the fourth column, I only have 1 perk, which is Chain Reaction. Creates an elemental damage explosion in a 3-meter radius when you get a kill with this weapon, which is good if enemies are near each other and you either get more kills or do extra damage to some. Having Chain Reaction on this Waveframe means you can kill more ads in a single shot. The second to last weapon is Greasy Luck, the solar glaive that has a rapid fire archetype, which means it is a hybrid melee range heavy pole arm with a frontal shield. It generates energy on dealing range damage. God roll for this glaive is Reconstruction and Redirection. Reconstruction, while not using this weapon, it will reload itself every 6 seconds and can overflow the mag to double its capacity. So when you're ready to use it, you'll have double the ammo in your mag to use. Redirection, damaging rank and rifle enemies buffs damage against the more powerful ones. You get 2 stacks of redirection when landing hits against minor enemies, which can be maximized to 30 stacks. Hits against the powerful enemies will consume up to 3 stacks, which does 33% more damage per stack used. However, enhancing the perk is a big must because it will bring the damage up to 50% and only consume 2 stacks instead of the 3. Plus, you can stow the weapon away without the stacks resetting. Replenishing Aegis and Lead from Gold are the alternatives in the third column. Replenishing Aegis. This perk refills 1 round into the mag from reserves whenever you block damage. Reconstruction is the better option, but this works as well, especially if you block a lot. Lead from Gold. Picking up heavy ammo also gives you ammo for this weapon, meaning when you pick up a heavy brick on a normal perk gives 25% and enhanced gives 35% of your maximum special ammo reserves. Plus, having 2 special weapons equipped will halve the amount of ammo for each weapon. The alternatives in the fourth column are Incandescent and Unstoppable Force. Incandescent creates Solar Explosion when killing an enemy, which applies 30 Scourge that deals about 30 damage to targets. And the more powerful the enemy, the larger the explosion radius gets. Unstoppable Force, blocking damage with the shield gives 20% increased projectile damage for 4 seconds, which is good if you enjoy shooting with the glaive. And now we have our final weapon, which is the Cold Comfort, heavy stasis rocket launcher with an aggressive frame that does higher damage and has higher recoil. What makes this weapon a spicy god roll is Envious Arsenal and Elemental Honing as a perk combo that is very good for DPS. Envious Arsenal, when you deal damage with the other two weapons you have on before readying this one, it refills it from reserves. Elemental Honing, dealing different elemental damage, gives a stack of Elemental Honing for 20 seconds, which gives it extra damage. This can be stacked up to 5 times, meaning stack 1 starts at 2.5%, 2 is at 10%, 3 20%, 4 30%, and 5 35% on elemental weapons. More specifically, dealing damage with only Arc, Void, and Stasis gives you 3 stacks, but dealing all Arc, Void, Solar, Stasis, and Strand damage gives you max stacks. In the third column, I only have one perk as an alternative, which is Reconstruction. Every 6 seconds of not using this weapon, it will reload itself and can overflow the mag to double its capacity. For the fourth column, I have 2 alternatives, which are Bait and Switch. Dealing damage with the other 2 equipped weapons before switching to the rocket launcher will buff its damage by 30% for 10 seconds. And Bipod increases the rocket launcher ammo, reserves, and fire rate, but reduces damage blast radius and reload speed. More specifically, increased mag size by 1, reserve by 5, and firing delay by 25%, but nerfs the blast radius by 30, reload speed by 20, and damage by 25%. Thank you so much for coming in and watching. I hope this video helped you out a lot on figuring out which kind of god roll you're trying to go for. Especially since the Rite of the 9 weapons are only here for a limited time. Again, big shout out to my moderator Phil, who took his time and sat down to write out all of the god rolls that I showed here today. If you are also wanting to get PvP god rolls, please stay tuned. I'm working on that right now and hopefully have the video out soon. Again, if you haven't liked or subscribed, it would really mean so much to me. I also stream on Twitch almost every day. If you would like to come hang out, we have a ton of fun over there. So if you do, I'll probably see you there. And thank you so much for coming in and watching again. I will either see you on my live stream on Twitch or in another video. Bye!